like now to proudly report on the final outcomes of the 11th World Scout Youth Forum in terms of recommendations. Openly debating the main challenges of the topics of the agenda of the conference in inter-regional cooperation and deep consideration of different points of view, the 11th World Scout Youth Forum, with a great majority, requested NSO to adopt the vision for youth involvement set out in the conference document 14. At the same time, Forum strongly recommends that NSOs take into strong consideration supporting the proposal for the amendment to the Constitution, to the Article 13.2a, submitted from the World Scout Committee, as an interim measure to achieve greater youth involvement at the world level. Although the goodwill and intentions from the previous World Scout conferences and the World Scout committees and task forces, and of course NSOs and all of us, we, for more than 3 decades, have been trying but failing in practice to fulfill this goal of getting youth involvement in decision-making process in practice. So now the time has come, after 40 years when this was firstly proposed, to turn words into action and embrace other ideas. Because the innovations here bear the need for shift in the organizational culture of WOSM regarding youth involvement. Furtherly, noting all the efforts, but finally the general lack of motivation of NSOs to include young people as delegates to both world and regional conferences, and consequently the lack of motivation to nominate young candidates, the forum requires actions and measures to be taken by the committee, even constitutional, that would at least ensure that young people have the possibility to be delegates and stand for elections. In terms of communication and cooperation, as one of the measures that would ensure full empowerment, not only by young people, but all WOSM leadership, it is mentioned that it is required that the World Scout web-based platform is established as transparent, efficient, and dynamic means of communication in order to implement our innovation, share and collect best practices, especially in the field of promotion materials, which many NSOs found very beneficial, and in that terms, keeping our movement up to date and relevant to the wider public. Furthermore, an ability to express oneself is the core for successful participation and cooperation. So Forum proposes a solution, requesting the World Scout Committee to explore the possibility of amending the bylaw 4 by introducing a new languages, but noting the role of that the volunteers from regions and NSO can play in the translation process. And also fully respecting our diversities, the Forum asked NSAs within a federation to cooperate and work together stronger, particularly on national and local scales. Young participants at the Forum also would like to see an even more open-minded and flexible organization embracing change. So Forum proposes adoption of having young spokespeople in addressing external audience, as it is already successful in making scouting more attractive, but also keeping the youth-led image that we want to establish. Also, to strive to wider WOSM representation at key global conferences, and experience and embrace potential partnerships with the UN and other relevant NGOs, because that would facilitate visibility of the NGOs at the local level in terms of fundraising, creation of better local projects, greater visibility. Recognizing the important role of youth and scouts in peace building, Forum also requires the movement to reaffirm its commitment to peace initiatives, and invites NSOs and NSAs to promote interfaith and spiritual dialogue. Also recognizing the role of WOSM in environmental education, the Forum asked that whenever possible, publications and documents are available in a digital format, but I'm sure that you realize that from the best and the good example at this conference. Finally, constantly realizing the interim nature of the World Scout Youth Fora, participants led the way of the Forum improvement. So Forum recommends some changes in its own guidelines, so the added value of this event can be even more optimized. Forum suggested the evaluation and follow-up by the work done in regard to the recommendations in the previous triennium, so to make sure that the long-term recommendations and ideas are just being followed. Also suggesting that youth advisors, as the best capable linking ideas, are supposed to be given the opportunity to propose recommendations by themselves. So this was the brief outline of the recommendations proposed. And as you might know, the interim report and all the recommendations of the 11th World Scout Youth Forum have already been presented to the World Scout Committee at committee's meeting. And the World Scout Committee, following the recommendations of the Governance Review Task Force that this committee previously accepted, suggests to this conference, in terms of resolution proposal, that a session be devoted at all subsequent conferences for debate on the issues raising by the World Scout Youth Forum's recommendations, at a point that is early enough for the development of appropriate resolutions. This resolution proposal would be accordingly distributed. So, at this point, I would like to invite you to fully embrace hard work, energy, and vision that participants of the 11th World Scout Youth Forum invested in communicating what we believe should be the main focus on Scouting today. With this idea, if the future of Scouting is in the hands of young men and women, forum participants, and elected youth advisors, I'm sure that you all realize that it is greatly taken care of. But let us deeply think on what the next generation of leader proposes to be on the agenda of the Scouting in coming years. Therefore, I invite you all to seize the opportunity to talk to young delegates, consider proposed recommendations, try to develop resolutions now, and actually be the leaders of change and innovation that this movement requires, because innovations cannot be postponed anymore. And finally, I would like us all to welcome and congratulate the newly elected youth advisors, and I hope that the World Scout Committee will continue to recognize their work in the triennium and openly involve them in the work of the committee as it involved us. So thank you very much on this. Out of 12 candidates, elected youth advisors to serve to the World Scout Committee in triennium 2011 and 2014 are Mr. Muad Maeli, Jordan, Sara Rita Katan, Lebanon, Esben Holager, Denmark, Dojna Postica, Republic of Moldova, Vemund Ovensen, Norway, and Felipe De Falo, Brazil, that is also the new elected chairman of the 12th World Scout Youth Forum Planning Committee. So I would like to ask them at this moment to come to the stage and be recognized.